Time now for What's Hot. We talk about the stories that have us all talking.
Today we're joined by Jon Anne Willow from ThirdCoast Digest at thirdcoastdigest.com, and Jeff Wagner is back. As it turns out, you don't need a bachelor's degree to achieve good pay and job security. There are many jobs that only require an associate's degree or less, and it offers higher earnings, many openings, and strong projected growth. Community college is the solution to stop the middle class from shrinking.
Or a technical school would be just as good.
A lot of people are pushing technical schools now because, again, Jeff, we've talked about this, about how there are jobs out there, but people don't have the skill set to fill those jobs.
Right, and there's good jobs. I mean, these jobs, you need welders. I mean, you need people who are engineers. You need people who are plumbers. You need people who are electricians. It's the type of job that you can develop, especially if you've got an aptitude for it. You can get into an apprentice program, and within a couple years, you're making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. I've talked to a lot of young people in their 20s who are in that boat. I see nothing wrong with a 4-year education, but the truth is, yeah, you need English majors. You also need electricians as well.
And I think the whole definition of middle class needs to change back from what it started to be when I started college in the 80s. A lot of those jobs, too, are in healthcare, especially RN jobs. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree to do those. And software engineers, software developers can do a 2-year program at WCTC and start out making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 if you self-train along the way and really work at it. When I was growing up, school teachers were middle class, nurses were middle class, electricians were middle class, and we really changed that definition to white-collar jobs from 4-year liberal arts degrees, and that's what I actually have too. But I think that we just need to look at middle class as more of a socioeconomic thing and less of a what kind of school did you go to situation. Hopefully we can stop it.
Yeah, for the longest time, there's been this stigma, I think, that's attached, maybe it's in the minds of parents or whatever, that if you're going to a trade school or something, that's different. Everybody should aspire to get the 4-year degree or to go on to professional school. Well, that's great if you've got the aptitude, but the truth is, not everybody has that aptitude. Okay, I was a pretty good lawyer, but plumbing? No. I call somebody. Everybody has different skill sets, and what we need to do is do a better job of matching up those skill sets and the aptitudes with the individuals that are going through school.
Absolutely.
Well, and speaking of law degrees, 2/3 of kids who get out of law school now don't find a job right away.
Yeah, it's a tough market for lawyers.
And they're 120 grand in debt.
We got to go to break, guys.
Coming up next, a lifeguard springs into action when somebody needs help. Then he gets fired for it. We'll explain. Again, we are joined by Jon Anne Willow from ThirdCoast Digest and Jeff Wagner of News Radio 620 WTMJ. So a Florida lifeguard said he was fired after he left his post to rescue a man who was drowning outside the zone he was hired to patrol. This drowning man was apparently in an area with swim at your own risk signs posted. Should the lifeguard have lost his job?
No. How could we disagree about that, Jeff? He should not have lost his job.
No, we don't. Imagine the flip side of this. Imagine and the guy was swimming, the man who was in trouble was about 300 yards south of where this particular zone is. Imagine if you had somebody that was running up there and saying, lifeguard, lifeguard, there's a woman drowning, there's a child drowning. And the guy had said, no, I'm sorry, I can't leave. That's 150 yards past where we're supposed to patrol. Can you imagine the outrage? This is a 21-year-old kid. He did absolutely the right thing. And this company, I understand you got rules and there's a reason for the rules. This isn't one where you apply them.
No, and he even said, I don't even care that I lost my job. I left with my morals intact and my soul intact, so I can get another job.
Other lifeguards that were working with him, employed by the same company, said, this is ridiculous, I'm walking.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them have quit in protest.
I'm not going to not save somebody.
Right, yeah, if he was outside the zone because he was flirting with some girl or he was going to get lunch or something, that's a different story. He was running to try to save somebody, which last time I checked is what you want lifeguards to do.
Anybody, any citizen who's qualified to help someone should try, and he did.
And today they offered him his job back.
Oh, good.
Did he take it?
If I were him, I wouldn't.
And he declined.
Oh, good. Even better.
Yeah. Good thing that they were pressured to do so, though. It's a good ending, at least for him. Okay, the internet has been abuzz criticizing photographer Joe Clamar, I believe, for his portraits of the U.S. Olympic athletes. One article said, our athletes look silly and desperate, shoddy, amateur, disgraceful, and an embarrassment are other terms that have all been used. The photos have been called everything from shoddy, as we said, to an embarrassment. The country and the photographers. We're showing you some of these. Are they really that bad? We've got like a shadow issue on a lot of these, and then when they show you can see some breaking in that white cloth that he's
Right.
shooting on. So you've got athletes, down there, and you can see it's ripped and.
Jeff,
It's
could you
bad.
have done better with your smartphone?
Well, we actually have some great pictures. We were at the Olympic trials, my wife and I, in San Jose, and flew back with Gabby Douglas and some of the other Olympians, and really got to hang out there. I'm dropping names and stuff. But I mean, I've looked at these photos, and I guess, these are to me a little bit arty, but I mean, are these awful? I don't know.
I just don't think people look good. I think there were some other examples that came out of this from other photographers, and they look good.
Well, I think a big issue, and one of the articles that I read brought this up, is Joe Clamar is a photojournalist, and he's a brilliant photojournalist and a brilliant action photo taker. His work, he's won lots of awards, and there's no question about his credentials as a photojournalist. But that is not the same as studio photography.
Yeah.
And I think he was really out of his depth here. I can't believe that those photographs were intentional. I really think he didn't know what he was doing in such a sophisticated studio setting, and he probably was absolutely the wrong guy for the job. He should be ringside.
And they shouldn't have released the photos, I don't think.
No, they shouldn't have.
And I will say, just really quickly, a couple of these gymnasts, you're talking about 16-year-old girls, there's a couple of these photos, which I do concede, I'm not sure it's exactly appropriate. That's how you depict a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't
All
have
right.
a sense of it.
On that, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you both.